Yes.
Coffee, tea, they knew the level six
One-stop shopping.
choose between one thing.
One, two. Good morning, everybody. Good. Sounds good. Well, once again, I'd like to welcome you all to the Spring 2014 ADS pinning ceremony. My name is Frank Zavadil. I'm the chair of the department. And I see a lot of our friendly, smiling folks out here today. I'm glad that you all could make it, take time out of your schedule. I think it's always appreciative to have family of the graduates to see this event. I think it's something special and something that you'll remember for a long time. I'd like to embarrass all the graduates first by just having them all stand up so we know who they are. We're also honored this morning to have Dean Lawler here. Dean Lawler is the Dean of the School of Health Sciences, and we really appreciate his support from our department. And in a few minutes, we're going to have the Dean come up and give a few words. So before that, just want to acknowledge the faculty of our Department of Addiction Studies program. I'll introduce Dr. Berrigan could not be here today, but Dr. Seveny, you want to stand up? Dr. Kathy Husky, our student advisor, and our photographer and wearing multiple hats, Denise Cochelle. Special thanks to Denise for doing a lot of the arrangements today, especially the cake bites, and doing a lot of ordering, and so she'll make sure we're fed and have our sweets. So thanks, Denise. Also, Denise is going to be leaving us in a couple of weeks, so we're going to wish her the best in her new endeavors, and we're going to miss her. So, okay, I think just I'm not real big on giving formal speeches, but I do want to acknowledge you students for the noble field that you're entering or entering. I think it's something that our department is proud to have you as our students, because you are going to represent our department for the years to come. I'm a former graduate of the department, and it wrote my ticket to where I am today. And I see a lot of potential for this degree to take you places that you can't even realize. I think the enormous amount of addiction that we have in our society, it just continues to increase. And I think the need for our students in various capacities, especially in primary care, and working in community mental health centers, substance abuse centers, you could be working in schools, hospitals, the VA. It just seems like we see more requests for our students in various organizations because you carry a key component, and that's information on addiction. And I think that's a real key for a lot of people out there who don't know what that is. There's a big stigma related to addiction. And I think a lot of times people who get into this particular profession have some either personal investment in this area, or they've either been impacted by it by somebody else in their family or relatives. That's kind of how I entered this area, and it continues to, I think, keeps me intrigued because it just seems like we keep finding out more and more about what addiction is. And I think there's more research to be found, and maybe some days you people will be the leading people in doing the research and coming up maybe with a cure. But in the meantime, for those of you who decide to work in the counseling profession, the healing profession, I think that is a worthwhile cause as well. That's where I started, and I think there's nothing like seeing people who actually get into recovery and they start living a normalized life again once they've been down that path of addiction where it can take you. And so you being helpful in that recovery is a rewarding experience, and I think those memories you'll remember forever. I still remember my first client, and that's been over 30 years ago. And so I think you do make an impression by what you do, what you say, how you act, and so forth. So that's really key and important in this particular field. So I just want to wish everybody the best as you go forward. Also, just we will have the pinning, and at that time, the students are more than welcome to give thanks to anybody they wish to give thanks to, especially their family, friends, or whoever helped assisted them getting through. Because I'm assuming some of you thought this day would never come. Maybe some of you wish it never would come, but either way, it's a great milestone to reach. So that being said, I would like to introduce our Dean Lawler, just a little former introduction. Mr. Lawler is professor and Dean of School of Health Sciences at the University of South Dakota. Dr. Lawler has 30 years of experience as a social work practitioner, administrator, and educator. He was previously chair and professor of social work at the University of South Dakota and director of the Center for Human Services and co-director of the Center for Public Policy Research at the University of California, Davis. His research areas include child welfare services, juvenile justice, forensic psychology, foster care, parent-child relationships, and professional education. He is principal investigator of the South Dakota Survey of Child Wellbeing and the U.S. principal investigator for the International Survey of Child Wellbeing. He earned his PhD in Human Development from the University of California, Davis, and his Master's of Social Work from the University of California, Berkeley. So let's give Mike a warm
Congratulations, graduates. I'm going to join you for how many people are going to stay with us for the 40th anniversary celebration today? Okay, I want to make sure I don't repeat myself because I'm going to make some comments there as well. So thank you for Professor Zavidal's comments about experience. So I've been at this work for a long time. I have a lot of degrees. I've done a lot of things. And as I've shared with the ABS faculty before, I've never had a course in addiction studies. Never. And I'm the dean. And I'm a professor. And I've never had a class. I've done the training. I've certainly worked with people who've been addicted. I've worked in prisons. I've worked in child welfare. I've worked with people that there's a secondary effects of addiction in their lives. But I never knew what I was doing. And I was quite pleased to come to the University of South Dakota that has expertise and is forming the new science and our new knowledge base and our new practice base around addiction studies. So let me tell you, I say with great humility, Those of you who came to school here and are graduating with an addiction studies degree, you made a good choice, because the most contemporary practices in science are being generated here and taught here. These faculty are incredible, the staff are incredible, and they've had such faith and confidence in the addiction studies program over 40 years. And there were many times when that program almost got shuttered, because who wants to talk about addictions? Who wants to talk about alcohol addiction, drug addiction, gambling addiction, internet addiction, various process addictions that we're starting to actually discover that we've always had? So you made the right choice. And part of the challenge, of course, with addiction studies, it's a very difficult thing to talk about with your family and your friends and at social events. Years ago, my wife worked in radio and TV, and we'd go to radio and TV events and receptions, and people would always walk around and say, "Who are you?" Thinking, you were the next producer to give them a job. And I'd say, "Well, I'm married to her, and I'm a social worker." And they would just clear out and get away from me, because nobody wants to talk to a social worker. They think somehow we're going to talk about really difficult, challenging things. And that's the same thing it is with addiction studies. Students, you're going to be challenged by that. I'm sure people are already ask you, why did you major in that? And what's the deal there? And I want you to remember that you came to a school that is at the center of addiction studies, the center of generating new knowledges and practice, and you made a good choice. And you're out on the front edge of these things. Today, somebody like me could not make it without having a course in addiction studies, because we realize how important it is. The faculty here in the field has conveyed that to the rest of the world. Now, I want to also remind you that as you go out, you're going to face challenges. You're going to be in a healthcare setting, or in an agency setting, or in an educational setting. And people will say, well, we'll just send them over here to the 12-step program, or let's just wait it out. Eventually, this thing will go away and we'll address it. Those things still happen today. So your job is not just to be the practitioner or the clinician in that place. Your job is to educate everybody and to let them know about addiction studies and talk to them about the broad options in prevention and treatment that are available now that maybe we didn't have when they first went to school. So it is, parents and family, thank you for supporting these students, because they have entered a challenging field, but a real critical and important field. I want to thank the students, I want to thank the faculty, and I want to commend you on your accomplishment. I want to welcome you as my colleague. Thank you.
Well, I think we'll begin with the training ceremony, so Dr. Stebbing, would you like to begin? Just like we rehearsed.
Okay, so we've started a tradition where the advisors of the students get the honor of pinning the students. So I'm just excited to start. So, Kate Wellenston. To tell you a little bit about Kate. First of all, she has a very positive attitude. It's kind of a running joke, but it is true. She really does. She's also been currently is the secretary of CASPA, which is our student organization, and really did a wonderful job, and she's going to be doing her internship in Rapid, and she's got a great future ahead of her, and I'm going to miss you.
Many of you know, I am a very positive, high-energy person, so I'll keep this short. But I just wanted to say thanks to my parents and my friends that are here. I definitely wouldn't have made it through the last 5 years with my surgeries and my athletic career without them, so I just want to say thank you.
hat is Natasha Bremer. I have a little story to tell you about Natasha too. When she first started into the program, she was very bashful and shy and just didn't think that she was going to ever make a difference or be a professional. But I'm here to tell you she has. She is the president of CASPA, our student organization. She has represented the department at the ICNRC conference, which is an international conference, by setting up an exhibit booth and explaining about the department. And then she was also in Atlanta, Georgia, just last fall at the NADAC conference, which is another national addiction conference. And she did an excellent job, and she's got a great future, and she's going to be doing her internship at Keystone this summer. So, congratulations.
Used to Diane, I'm still a little shy. So, I want to thank my family and all my friends that I met here, and my professors who all have been very motivating, inspiring, and I want to thank the ADS department as a whole to really get me out there and represent for you guys and just, yeah, learn things and all that stuff. Thank you.
Okay. I'm John Portico, and I've been a professor with the department for quite a few years. Not as many as others. But I'll start with my folks. Erica has just finished up her internship after a few delays, and it's just been an exciting semester for her. At least I hope it has been an exciting semester for her and her internship, as it has been for all of us. So.
I guess I would really like to thank John. He's helped me out a lot along the way. Whatever bumps that come along, he's definitely helped me through them. I'd also like to thank my parents. They've been really supportive of me, helped me out when I needed it too. So, thank you.
And next we have Mina. Mina is former Vice President of CASPA now. And Mina started looking for an internship, let me see, was that 2 years ago? A little bit paranoid about that, but Mina has internships, so that's her big thing she's excited about, VOA.
Short. Sorry. I'd like to thank my family and my friends and everyone that I've met here, professors especially, and John for helping me out when I've had like my freak out moments about not graduating, maybe graduating, and just my schedules in general. And so, yeah.
And we're breaking up Mary's and Glyze's, and I'm sure Emily's afraid of me in the introduction. I won't mention your nickname at all.
Okay.
But Emily's also finished up now with her internship and is leaving us for a while.
Thank you. How would I forget to talk?
We were going to talk about that.
Hi, I
just want to say thank you to my family who is not here right now, they're on their way. I want to say thank you to all of the professors and everybody in the department. It's been a crazy 4 years, but very exciting. I also want to thank my fill-in family for the day, my little cheerleaders in the back, who have gotten to learn a lot more about addictions than they came here to learn about. So that's been exciting for them, I'm sure. But just so thank you everybody for all the support the last 4 years. Appreciate it.
And then Dr. Merrigan's other advisee is Lindsay Luca. So I get the honor of pinning her. And of course, I have a story about her too. No, she's very excited about doing her internship, which, in case you hadn't noticed, that oftentimes the students really struggle with finding a place that fits for them and where they're interested. And so Lindsay has been very fortunate in finding a place in Nebraska, right? Iowa, yeah. And doing exactly what she wants to do in the future. So, congratulations.
Especially. I guess I've made a lot of connections this year, and I'm glad that my ABS professors as well helped me continue to decide to double major in this, because when I came here I honestly didn't know what I wanted to. And I guess I'd really like to thank Mary, even though she isn't here, because she really helped me decide that this is something that is important to me and would like to continue this in the future. So thanks everyone.
Good morning. I'm Kathy Husby, Certified Prevention Specialist, and online advisor for addiction studies. But when I was looking over my list, we have quite a diverse group of students. And maybe that's not what you thought when you saw our students. But as USD is very interested in diversity, 80th started up 100 with the diverse group of students, and we kept there. And I'll explain that first. Janelle, who was an on-campus student, who had a little interruption in her education, came back as a full-time mom, full-time employee, worked overnights, and on-campus student. So, congratulations for all your hard work. Oh, she informed me she just finished her internship, so she is ready to move along. She's been gone doing that, so we haven't seen her for a while. You might have to
I'd like to thank especially my husband for supporting me through this and helping with my kids. My kids, I'd love to thank because they have been my inspiration through everything. And the department for helping me get my education through all of this, and being 33 years old, learning that I can finish a career and move further in my life. The biggest person I would like to thank, he's upstairs right now, is my dad. He's the one who pushed me to get my education by saying, oh, you'll never finish it, you'll never go back, you'll never complete it. It's upsetting to know that I can't hug him and say, you know, I made it. Thanks to you, I made it. My family and friends who have supported me through this, but thank you a lot.
I forgot to say how far back Janelle and I go. Back when she was 10 years old and in Girl Scouts. So anyway, so it's kind of like one of my children growing up. Megan Bennett. And this is interesting because being an online, I don't always meet my advisees face to face. But Megan, I will have to stay, came back to school, and I noticed her GPA for the university is 3.7. So I find that pretty impressive. So it's nice to meet you. So we have on-campus students, we have our online students, often non-traditional, meaning they maybe came back later. So I do have change
Wow. 30 years ago, I graduated high school this week. I got asked, what do you think of counselors? And I said, I think they're really important, and they turned me into one. So I started on the certificate program, and I was invited not to return to my desk as a counselor along with the rest of our staff. So I decided I better go back to college because I needed something. And I have 2 adult children and my youngest son, who came with me today, that have been through a lot in the last 4 years. So I'll have my bachelor's at the end of the summer. And my children watch me carry book bags to wrestling, baseball, volleyball. The birth of my 2nd grandchild when I was in Diane's class, I believe, and asking a nursing staff about pharmacology and the importance of it at 4:30 in the morning when we had our 2nd one. And she got the first picture. Never met the lady, but she was very supportive. Along with Kathy and John and Mary, who I've got to meet variously. And it was all online, and it's an amazing, amazing program. And I got to meet Erica and Emily in a face-to-face class, and it was far out. So USD has been an amazing part of our family. So thank you very much.
And then we have Kevin, who managed to combine it all. And as you can see, he is a minority. You never thought you'd be called that, maybe, but I'm one of the few males in our program who finished a degree at Killian and transferred in after 2 years and switched careers along the way, so came back to USD. And he also has about a 3.7 GPA with working and family and all of those things. So we got creative. He did some online, came to campus when he needed to, and got it done.
Well, like Kathy said, I'm non-traditional, 25 years old, graduating. Just kidding. But actually, I graduated high school 22 years ago this month. All right. Thank you to my family. Thanks for the patience. And Caitlin, thank you when I wasn't able to do things with you because I was too busy doing schoolwork. Thank you to all the instructors. You're an amazing bunch. You helped me learn so much. And to the friends that I've made in the program, thank you guys. Even though I was a minority, I felt like I was part of the group. And that's great. Thank you.
Something you have to learn whenever you're going to have Kathy come up and share something about you, because she's got the whole history. So just be careful when you're, good memory. Well, it was really a pleasure to hear the comments, and what I could hear was a lot of dedicated people out there, dedicated to the field, dedicated people in support of the students, and I think that's what all makes it work. And so, that being said, I think we just need to give everyone a fine round of applause and wish the best for them. This concludes the pinning ceremony. However, there may be some need for people wanting to take pictures, and we have the 40th meal will begin at noon, so we have a little time if you wish to do so. I don't know if there's any special place they want to take pictures.
We want to get a group photo of all the graduates together, and then we'll get the graduates with the faculty, and then we can do family pictures or one-on-one with faculty, however they want. But if the graduates want to come along this wall here.
Okay, I see. Just follow these instructions. And once again, thanks to Dean Lawler for your kind words.
Pretty nice.
Very good. All right, here we go. 1, 2, 3. If you guys want to see these pictures, I'm going to put them on.
Okay, I didn't know that, so I don't there. Okay, so you don't know well, I know. And that's gonna be like another China job. So now I have to go back and get more. Yeah, but I don't think we expected to bring this out. Actually, Denise.
So what I'd like to do is have current and former faculty to stand up. I think you deserve a big round. And we'll expect a speech from each one of you in a little bit. I think, something I'd like to acknowledge too is that, we've been placed under the School of Health Sciences in the last few years, and we really appreciate the support that we get. And today we're honored to have the Dean of the School of Health Science, Dr. Lawler, here. And I'm going to ask him to come up and say a few words. So everybody give Mike a big hand.
That is hard to top. Well, thank you, and I'm really proud to be associated with the Department of Addiction Studies. I'm very, very proud of it. I want to acknowledge as well the faculty. It's remarkable the consistency we've had over the years connecting Dr. Williams and having Mrs. Williams here, and then all the faculty that he taught, and you hear those lovely words. Sometimes we get caught up in what's current and we forget the broad shoulders we stand on. And I appreciate you guys recognizing that great history. And to see my good colleague, Dr. Keneally here, who seems to be getting younger since she retired a year ago. So welcome back, Dr. Keneally. So I spoke earlier briefly with the students, and some of you have heard me speak before. So let me just talk about a few things that are of interest to me. So I'm the Dean of the School of Health Sciences, but I'm a social worker, and it's who I am. Social work brought me to the academy, and therefore I continue to do that work. So things like addiction studies and things like addiction are very, very important to me. But when I look back on my career, there's been a common theme about addictions. It's the addiction problem, if you will. So I worked in mental health in a number of settings. And people with addictions to alcohol and drugs usually had notations in their files like, must first address addiction before they address their mental health issues. When I worked in child welfare, we were developing service agreements with parents to get their children back because of child neglect or child maltreatment. And there'd be things in the file that says, needs to get clean before other services can be provided. And when I worked a bit in state prisons, needs to stay drug-free before participating in other services. And then, of course, even in my career now, in my career in higher education, Students must demonstrate sobriety before being allowed into certain activities. And of course, the common feature in all those places that I've lived my life as a professional, the common feature is that there was a distance between addictions and health and human services. There was the addiction problem, and then the other issues of health, human services, law enforcement, education. And I shared earlier with the students, and I've shared with the addiction faculty many times, and it's worth noting. So I'm the dean of the School of Health Sciences. I have 3 human services related degrees, and I've never taken a formal class in addiction studies. Never. Done some training. I've listened to Gene Bennell. I've gone and I've listened for wisdom, but I've never been trained in it. That's because the addiction problem is over here. And the things I was studying were over here. So addictions, in my mind, has been separated not just a little bit, but for generations from other services. Part of it is just the challenge of addictions, the denial of it existing in all of our families, the pain that it evokes when we think about our families and our loved ones and maybe ourselves battling addictions. It's a difficult thing, and it's hard to talk about. You all know this because you're addictions professionals. But one of the things that just I absolutely love about this department, and love is the term, is that here, you've been battling this issue for 40 years. There are not many addiction programs around, period, and not many in the country that have been battling this issue for 40 years. I'm very proud that you are the center of development, not just for addiction studies, interventions, the addiction problem, but integrating it over here with other health and human services disciplines relative to intervention, prevention, and so on. So our faculty, students, alumni, staff, you've all been key contributors to what I would call a new science of addiction studies and the new practice of addictions counselors, the new practice of prevention specialists, including in South Dakota, the licensed addiction counselor. Licensed addiction counselor. So it's absolutely wonderful. And I think we need this science of addiction studies, and we need it for a number of reasons. But key for me is we have to drive away the fear of addictions. We have to drive away fear and bring understanding, compassion, love, and hope for individuals and communities. At the same time, we also have to consider the cultural context of addiction and the importance of spirituality and traditions, as was modeled, so well in this video through John R. Williams' leadership and also ADS continued support of the Red Road approach to recovery. So I just want to make sure that you know, all of you here who are related to the addiction studies major, the department who contributed over the last 40 years. I commend you and for this commitment and new knowledge and new development of the new science in addiction studies. I sincerely thank you, and I'm very proud to be associated with you and call you colleague. Thank you.
Thank you, Dean Muller. I also want to acknowledge June Larson, Associate Dean of School of Health Sciences. She is here today. I think she's there with me. So I want to do something a little different right now. I kind of like to know, since we've had a span of 40 years of education and so forth, I'd like to just kind of ask people who received education during the 70s in this room, and if anybody received education in the 70s through the alcohol and drug studies or addiction studies program, would you please stand up?
Gene.
This morning we had an official caning ceremony, but what we'd like to do this afternoon is actually give all students who attended addiction studies courses through the classes to actually give you a pin as well. So, Denise, would you give the honors? we have two different, we changed our names to protect the innocent over the years. I don't know that. Yeah, why don't you come up, Gene? Gene will also be given a few words in a few minutes, and you might as well acknowledge. Gene's been a big contributor, he remains to be a big contributor to our program. Now let's go to the 80s. Anybody in the room who received education during the 80s? Well, come on up for your pin.
I already have one thing.
Well, we'll take yours away then. Actually, I was took my coursework during the 80s, so I'll take one out of the day. Okay, how about the 90s? All right. Well, come on up. Come on up and receive your. How about 2000 up to 2010? After, I think it was the beginning of 2010, I think is when the pinning ceremony started, so anyone after that probably already has a pinning, so hopefully we got the bases covered. So anyway, just wear it proudly and tell them where you got it, and people, it'll make a piece of conversation for you if people ask you that. So, but thank you. Okay, also I want to acknowledge something that just happened where we found out yesterday, good news. Our students continue to perform well, as they're very professional, and we realize that. But we have a student in the room here who received an internship from Samson, is that correct? Okay, Ross Stever, would you want to stand up? And I think he deserves a hand of applause. Actually, Ross is the second student who received this award last year with the Leon Leader Charge. And so this is a very competitive. How many applicants applied for this?
Over 6,000.
So that just tells you the caliber of the students that we produce in our department. And to have two in a row is amazing. So, we just give you the best and hope your summer goes well. Tell them how it is. And then send some students our way. Now, getting back to the board here, you try to put it in perspective. What's 40 years? So I went on the internet the other day and I just said what happened in 1973. And just here's some things. Airbags were first introduced in the Oldsmobile Tornado. So think about that. The top TV shows were All in the Family, The Waltons, Sanford and Son, MASH, and Hawaii Five-O. But Hawaii Five-O has not been going on for 40 years, but as we know, reinvented that show. Top songs of the year, Tie a Yellow Ribbon Around Your Little Tree by Dawn, and You're So Vain, Carly Simon, Crocodile Rock, Elton John, Bad Bad Leroy Brown by Jim Croce. And another event, actually it was the completion of the World Trade Center. 1973. The Vietnam War ended. The average income for the U.S. family was $12,900. About what teacher salary is nowadays.
Counselor salary.
Oh, yeah, counselor salary, yeah. That'll bring more people in. And the price of gas was 40 cents a gallon. Wasn't that something? We were complaining, it could get to 50 cents. So anyway, those are just some things to think about. Anyway, we do have a few speakers we somewhat corralled into to this afternoon's activity. We have Diane Williams, we have Jean Benelli, and Dr. Canale agreed to share a few words about the department, and I think we'll start off with Dr. Canale. Dr. Canale was the former chair of the department for so many years, a mentor of me, and I appreciated all the support that she's given me over the years. She actually was the person who brought me back to teach for the addiction studies program. So with that being said, let's give Dr. Canale a hand.
What he forgot to say was, I'm also his former teacher. But we're all connected. Which I think is a good thing for the longevity of the department, the fact that everybody that is teaching in the department is either former graduate of the department or as we were hired, like I didn't get my BS degree in alcohol and drug studies, but Diane did, John did, Kathy did, Frank did. So we have a lot, and Jack did. We have a lot of people that are teaching for us on campus and online as well, and then our graduates of our program. And so I think that we always feel good, or I always feel good about that, because I felt like the values of the profession were being, transmitted to the students because they had their grounding in addiction studies. So that I feel was the highlight of the department, and maybe why our longevity is so great is because of that grounding that we had in the values of the profession. So you saw some of the snippets on the video, but I don't know if one of the things that I mentioned on the video was the fact that I started teaching for John in 1978, April 8th. It was a Monday. I'll never forget it. And I was assigned to teach a 5-day class, group interaction. Actually, it was group interaction 217, remember? In those days, it was 217, and we were older students. So I was scheduled to teach that class over 5 days.